welcome to Peacemakers. Great to have you along today. Listen, this is the time and place where we need peacemakers. We need desperately people who live what they believe, people who are willing to live for Christ. There are too many people that say, Lord, Lord, but then they end up living the same life as everyone in the world. Why do you call me Lord, but you don't keep my commands? We have to be separated from this world. We have to live for Jesus Christ, not for the lusts of the flesh. We really do have to be separated. And that has become more than just a suggestion. In this time right now, that's becoming an absolutely critical thing. For a long time, Christianity in the Western world has been kind of meshed with society. We've sent our children to their schools to be educated. We've gone to their theaters and concerts and sports arenas to be entertained. We have lived alongside them and treated them as peers for so long that we honestly don't know how to live other than that. But Christians in the past have reached this tipping point of saying, we can't go on living the same life as them. We have to be separated. And that's the point we find ourselves in right here and now in the Western world. Now, I'm going to share a bit of madness in our society and where that puts us in scriptures as a society and what the correct response of the Christian is at this point. First of all, in British Columbia, we have a new curriculum in the schools. It's called SOGI 123, Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity Curriculum, being rolled out very fast and furious. And if you look into where this curriculum came from, it is crafted by the ARC Foundation, and if you go to their website, it's a very anonymous, vague thing. The website is so basic and poorly developed that it's literally an amateurish, simple thing that could have been thrown together in an afternoon. And there's, from what I understand, 3 trustees who oversee the whole thing. There are 3 rich businessmen who are using this ARC Foundation as a tax shelter to play their social engineering games. And this curriculum they've crafted, for some reason the BC government, although it hasn't properly researched it and doesn't fully understand it or its implications on the effects on children, is shoving it down everyone's throats. And anyone who has any rational thought in them is looking at this with shock and horror. Why would you want to teach little boys and girls that they can actually change their gender and be whatever they want to be? I mean, if you're any kind of mature adult, you know that's foolishness. How did we get to this point? Well, if you look in Romans 1, verses 20 to 32, that's the scriptures I want you to use for homework. Read through it and understand that there is a natural process that occurs to a society that turns away from God. Western civilization rejected God. It began, back in the 40s and 50s. They were shoving God out of government, out of the political arena, out of schools. And the result of pushing God away is that society falls. And I'm going to explain why. See, in Romans 1 and 20, God explains that the creation around us gives us enough evidence to make a right judgment and know that He is God. We all know that in our hearts, that God is our God. And He wants us to bring Him glory as God. Look at this gorgeous creation. He wants you to notice it and say, wow, God, you have created a magnificent work. The blue sky, the green trees. Lord, the works of your hand are wonderful, and bring Him glory. Second thing He wants is our thanks. As we eat the food He's created, as we drink the waters, we breathe the air, as we live in these physical bodies He gave us, all of this He wants us to be like children whose eyes are wide. Wow, thank you so much for all this you've given. That's what God wants. He's a relational God. He gives us all these gifts. He sets them at our feet, and He wants us to be happy about it. And instead, we return this cruel indifference that kind of devolves into animosity and rejection. We don't want you, God. Go away. And What happens when a society rejects God is we continue to read in Romans 1, I believe it's in verse 22, he steps back, he does what he's told, he goes away, he moves away from that society, and they begin to fall. They're no longer being held by his grace. And the first thing that happens is they become wise in their own eyes. Oh, they're too smart for God. They've got it all figured out. They know that we evolved over millions of years, that this miracle called the cell and this other miracle called DNA that happen to be married together simultaneously was just, even though it's mathematically a full impossibility, they just say it was lucky chance. And they've become wise in their own eyes. They don't need that book of fables, that book of fairy tales. They're too smart for that. And what happens is they fall and become fools. And that's exactly what I'm seeing right now in Western society. They're starting to think mad thoughts, insane thoughts, believing that their gender can be whatever they feel like. And the logical process of thought says then I can choose to identify as an East Indian woman. I have that right. And you have to accept me as an East Indian woman. I can identify as a jaguar and choose to live in a zoo, and you have to honor that. You have, it's madness. And if you understand that God has stepped back and allowed them to fall, they've become wise in their own eyes, but they've become as fools. And the natural process leads towards a sexual depravity. That's what's coming down the pipes. A sexual depravity that, people will be doing the most perverse and wicked things with animals, with each other. It's just, you don't even want to be a part of it. It's Sodom and Gomorrah coming around again. Now, Western Christians have to think soberly about this. The Western society we've always been a part of is falling into depravity. If we continue to coexist with them and try and work with them, we're going to fall with them. This is a time where peacemakers need to step back and be a light and say, hey, I'm not with them, I'm with him. Okay? I identify only as a Christian. I identify only as a child of the living gods. And society will reject that. Society will condemn me. I mean, they've done it with every Christian before. Why shouldn't they now? They will call your virtuous lifestyle evil. They will call their evil lifestyle virtuous. But that we have to be a light. We have to do what's right. We have to step back. Now, that includes not raising our children in their schools. Christians need to start coming together and building bridges across denominational barriers, working together. We need to have our own schools that don't depend on government funding. If all Christians need to donate together to have a school where we can send our children, then that's what we need to do. We need to make that investment. If we need to give up tax-exempt status so that we can preach the truth about sexual immorality from the pulpit, then that's what we need to do. We need to disengage and quit being dependent on the Western society. And tax-exempt status be damned. We cannot conform to what the world expects of us to save our tax status. That's foolishness. If we need to meet in homes or in fields or in parks, if that's how we need to meet so that we can say what's true and honor God, then that's what we have to do. What we're doing right now with basically being an audience in a building while a man with a microphone does all the work isn't from the Bible. It isn't scriptural. And if we need to come together in homes where we can meet without the costs and expenses associated with a big building, then that's what we need to do. We need to be disengaged, disentangled from the society, living as Christians among them. Now, we need to have our own entertainment. We can't just go to their immoral entertainments and be satisfied with them. That's like drinking from the sewer. We can't go to the same sites on the internet they go to and expect that we'll have a healthy and vibrant Christian life. We need to start getting serious. We need to start being separated from them. So that is food for thought. I would love it if you read Romans 1:20-32 tonight and just allow that to sink in. This is where Western society is at today. God bless you.